Well guys, welcome back. Sorry, I'm just fixing my gear lever here, and yeah, sorry about that. Let's try that again. this time with sound. It's always easier to talk when people can hear you. We're figuring out a few things. There's a few adjustments we've been making for the things coming up this week. So as always, there'll be a few technical things to work on. Luckily, we have a brilliant team behind the scenes. Alex, who's truly a brilliant person, is working on it, and of course everyone in the control room as well. So apologies for that, but most of you have been on Drive with us before, and you know that doing this live in Africa as we speak is not the easiest thing always. Even though it is one of the most fun things, there are many technical things to consider. So apologies for that. Hopefully you can hear me perfectly right now. So I'm going to just say hello again. Welcome to the afternoon drive. My name is Pieter Pretorius. Wium is on camera behind us. He's been showing you those beautiful things while they're getting the sound sorted. And Rowan as well this afternoon on Drive with us. Rowan, that's his thumb. There we go. He's got a very famous thumb, Rowan. He's going to be helping us on camera as well over the next week or so. So welcome. We've got beautiful elephants here, some nyala, lots of things happening. It is very hot this afternoon. We're talking about 40 plus degrees Celsius. For many of you, Fahrenheit will make more sense. That's over 105 Fahrenheit. So proper hot. But there's a bit of a breeze blowing. The humidity is not too bad, so it's actually quite pleasant. As long as you're drinking lots of liquids, it's not too bad. So it's going to be a beautiful afternoon. A bit windy. I think there's been sort of some light talk around camp about the possibility of rain over the next day or two. It'll be nice to cool things down, obviously also for the habitat. And just looking forward to the afternoon. We had beautiful morning, lots of elephant around. I have a sneaky suspicion we're going to see more of them. We had Mvula, big male leopard. We had his tracks up in the drainage line here. He might pop out later on. So lots of things to look forward to. As always, pleasure to have you here. Let's go look around, see what's out there. Hayden will also be joining you. They're just working on one or two things on his 4x4. And the guys are also out. Stefan, Brent, and Scott, of course. And let's just have a look at these two. Such a beautiful scene here with the cracked dry mud of the water all around them. Of course, the water now gone. And also a warm welcome to guys that you won't see much, but you will see many things that they find for us. They've come to help with the tracking. Jeffrey and Bright, super duper trackers. They're going to be helping us over the next week to hopefully find some of the things that are harder to find. Now, Charlie, we'll actually go down there and have a look at what you're talking about. Guys, again, if this is maybe one of your first drives with us, you also do have the ability to ask questions or to make comments, to chat with each other as well, of course, Twitter and so forth. Hashtag Safari Live for Twitter, or you can email us questions to questions@wildearth.tv, and we can talk about some of those questions. We can't always get to all of them, but especially questions relevant to what's going on at the moment on the drive. We love getting those, or just questions in general. Chit-chat, that's what people do on safari. You look at beautiful wildlife, but you also just get to know each other, and you have some sort of light-hearted and interesting, fun conversations. So feel free to ask and to say hello. Charlie was just mentioning the catfish that are flopping around in literally what's the last mud. It'll probably be dry in the next 2 or 3 days. Let's have a look at these ellies again. Yeah, no, certainly. Larry, good afternoon. Larry's just saying that he can remember seeing this dam when it's full, 5-6 feet of water in it, probably even more when it's really full. Even where we're standing now, our wheels would be in the water. Those elephants would be up to about their sort of midway up the body where the eyes are, that depth in the water normally. So yes, this is certainly a change from some months ago. these are two youngish bulls. They would be at that age where they, as we can see actually, they're starting to hang around on the periphery of the herd. So the breeding herd is just over the wall from us, just behind the sort of embankment of sand, but the males at this age start hanging around more on the edges of the group. They're starting to get very gentle pressure from the bigger females to start leaving the herd. And this one is going to come and say hello to us, maybe, if we're lucky. Hello, mister. You can see that on his back there's a nice thick layer of dry mud. Actually, his whole skin has got mud in it in most places, and that's a very important cooling mechanism, obviously mud, but also sunscreen. If you ever forget your sunscreen and you're in really bad condition, hot, sort of sunny conditions, just a nice layer of mud on you will do wonders. Let's have a look at those catfish. Charlie, you were asking about the catfish. Sorry guys, if you can hear the radio at the moment, I'm not sure why that is. Now this might be a little bit upsetting for some of you, so don't run away or don't be upset by it. These catfish will be fine. These catfish, they're the last of the last. They are busy basically trying to wallow themselves into this mud. And I'm hoping for their sakes they didn't wait too long, because this is literally like imagine a big frozen lake and there's one hole in it to get oxygen through. This is the almost opposite of that. It's the last little spot that they can get into the mud. But as I said, even though it might look upsetting to you, catfish can survive very well in these conditions. They've been, for thousands of years, they've evolved to be fine in this. They will wallow, or not wallow, they will wiggle into that last bit of mud. And then once the mud dries, they will stay in that, call it crust of mud. And when the rains come again, and the mud softens and the water's there, they come out again. They can survive 2 or 3 years even like that. Amazing, all the different mechanisms animals have to survive. These catfish to do their digging. Some more ellies arrived up there. Now, again, just to, as Larry was saying earlier, 6 months ago we would have been almost underwater now driving in this dam. So these Land Rovers are good at off-road, but they can only go so far into the water. But we're going to cross where there was water only months ago to those ellies. Why I'm joking about the water is, even though this waterhole is dry, luckily, because Woyatela Lodge is up here, there's 2 water points that gets water pumped into it now. So these will become very, very, not only popular, but also very important and strategic watering points for animals. Obviously great for us in terms of viewing. And it also means we can come and sit sort of down here and get like a, almost like if we were lying on our bellies kind of view of these ellies. So that should be a nice view. All the way from Ohio. Hello, Sherry. Asking if the elephants will kill those catfish in the mud. Well, not really. I mean, by accident maybe if they stand on one, but not likely. However, and it's actually been strange to me that we haven't seen something on it yet, but this morning Hayden, on his part of the drive, saw saddlebill stork having a go at some of the catfish. So some of your big storks, obviously fish eagles, some of your big predatory birds, but even things like a hyena, jackal, lion even, might eat a bit of catfish, even though it's not part of their sort of typical diet. But obviously they are exposed, but these ones, at least when we've been here, have been fine so far. Maybe lucky is a better word. And many animals, of course, don't actually need water, surprisingly even. In fact, let's ask this question, a few of you. Tell us some of the animals that live in this area, in Sabi Sands Game Reserve in South Africa, where we are at the moment. If you can tell us a few animals that are water independent. Doesn't mean they don't drink water, but they don't need water to survive on a daily basis. Now in Namibia, where I'm from, there's many animals like that. Springbuck, gemsbuck, those are antelope that you don't get here specifically. They are specifically adapted to desert conditions. But I'm thinking actually of two species at the moment that might surprise many of you to know that they are also water independent. In other words, they can survive without water for days, even weeks at end. Again, I must just say with that, doesn't mean they don't drink water, it just means they can survive without it. So let us know a little bit. Lots of noise as well, you can hear the sounds there. That's a lilac-breasted roller in the back, starlings, black-headed oriole that I could hear just now. Guys, and if you are trying to tell us some of the animals you think might be water independent, remember you can send questions and or answers or thoughts to questions@wildearth.tv for an email, or Twitter obviously is nice and quick, #SafariLive. Now elephants, when they're drinking water, people sometimes think that they drink water through their trunks almost like a straw. In other words, they suck it up through the trunk. It's not the case. The trunk really, let's make sure I've got my radio right here. The trunk really is a long nose. So what they do is they suck water up into the trunk and they hold it there. Like if you suck on a straw and you hold the top close, you don't sort of create an airlock. That water stays there, obviously. Put the trunk in their mouth, blow it back into the mouth, and they can suck up many liters of water like that at a time. Big elephants can drink a lot of water, 100 liters, 150 liters even at one go. That's about, what is that, 30 gallons, 25 gallons or so. Big bull elephants. These are not that big. It's a big female, looks like a young female, obviously a youngster, but enjoying their drink. I'm just loving this view. You know, from a photographic point of view, those of you that are into photography, I know many wildlife enthusiasts are, excuse me, it's always great when you can to get low down. Now, the bigger your lens, in other words, if you have a long zoom lens, it's easier to get that kind of effect, but also just getting low down. So even on your belly sometimes you can get really great sort of aspects to the background, and where we're sitting now is just a perfect opportunity to illustrate that. You can see the tree line in the back. Beautiful light as well, sort of side light, and even though it's still quite hot in the afternoon, we have a little bit of a hazy sky, so it's getting that, what in sort of advertising photography you call a scrim, so something that filters the light and softens it. So absolutely stunning afternoon. Guys, as I said, Hayden is also going to get out there, but they're just working on a few technical things. I think he just wants to say hello to you as well. He's just as happy as I am to be out here. And he would like to say hi and definitely get out there later on in the afternoon. We're going to sit tight here, watch his Ellies a bit, see what comes up, and have you back here quite soon. But for now, enjoy saying how's it to Hayden, and we'll see you back here just now.
Well, under the shade of a beautiful marula tree we are, folks, and welcome to Safari Live for this afternoon. a bit of a hot one. A real hot one today, and it's definitely taken a little bit of getting used to for me, coming from the UK yesterday and jumping in the vehicle up into sort of the late 30s, up around 40 degrees today, Celsius. So welcome to Safari Live. My name's Hayden Turner. If I haven't met you before, great to meet you. If I haven't met you before, great to have you back on board. If you want to interact with us, ask us questions, you know you can do that at hashtag Safari Live on Twitter, or questions at wildearth.tv through email, and we'd love to talk to you as much as we possibly can today. I'm with Bryan, and Bryan and I have been sitting in the shade of this beautiful marula here, and one of the things that trees does give us out in the bush, and particularly animals, is shade. We've just been sitting here up on quarantine watching different species. They've all sort of pushed down here now. We had a group of a herd of impala just here. We had a couple of kudu. We're just going to go and follow those guys, but I tell you, you can just feel it getting a little bit cooler, Bryan, can't you? Just a little tiny bit. And they were all standing in the shade. And you know, when impala and those animals are standing in the shade, you know it's really hot. So we watched them all just move off, which means it's getting a little bit cooler. But it does mean that any cats that are around will pretty much be flat or lying down in the shade somewhere, so it makes it a little bit trickier, but we've got lots of people out. There's a lovely little herd of impala down here, and some kudu browsing. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just drive around. We probably come across those guys as they're moving down through. We're going to cross back to Pete. I just wanted to say hi, and we're going to get out and try and find some interesting stuff. Great to have you on board, folks, and look forward to having you with us this afternoon. We'll see you just now.
Guys, this is the perfect view to illustrate to you how to count animals. You know, people often ask this, especially when you look at big herds of animals. You know, in Sabi Sands here, Juma, I've seen, for instance, a herd of 1,500 odd buffalo. Now, that is quite a sight to see. I've been in parts of Africa where you see hundreds of elephants at a time. And just looking at that, let's just have a quick look at that before we look over. People don't realize it, but the most effective way to count animals in a herd is actually to count the legs. So you count the legs. It's a little bit trickier with elephants, I'll tell you why just now, but you count the legs and then you divide it by 4. It also is very good because it keeps your mathematics skills quite sharp, but with elephants it gets tricky because those trunks get in the way. So sometimes you count it and you're actually out afterwards. So it is quite difficult to count elephants, but with a bit of practice you can sort of get a handle on it. With nyalas, however, these antelope we're looking at, when they're coming to drink like they are at this moment with this beautiful view, just look at that background, soft light filtering through the leaves on the trees, absolutely stunning. With nyala, it's sometimes better to count the ears and then divide it by 2, just because you can't always see the legs. I thought they may be running away because I'm speaking so much nonsense. This is developing into such a beautiful setting. Sorry for being a little bit light-hearted. Actually, no, I'm not sorry. I'm just having such a beautiful afternoon. Wow. Yes, some water-independent animals. Let's see what people came up with. Bushbuck Rocky. Margot says steenbuck. Hayden says giraffe. Great answers, all of them. Sharon saying a chameleon, and Margaret said a leopard tortoise. Now, all of those animals, I don't actually know each and every one of them for a fact being water independent. I know giraffe do need to drink water. I don't think they need to drink every day. I know they can survive in arid conditions. Leopard tortoise certainly can go for quite a while without water. Although leopard tortoise, Margaret, was the closest, if I remember correctly that you said leopard tortoise, the closest to the ones I were thinking of. And those are actually the big cats Leopard and lion are water independent, which is something many people don't actually know. They don't need to drink water daily or even weekly. They can survive in very, very dry, arid conditions. But of course, as we tend to say there where I live sometimes, if the fish are biting, you must catch. If there's water, you should drink it. You just have a look. Oh, that's just such a cool view, huh? I could just sit here the rest of the day. Beautiful view, the horizon line there in the back. Got the soft filtered light. You can see some animals moving in from the distance. There's some vervet monkeys and impala on the back. We'll go have a look at some of them just now. I'm just looking at this little patch here right in front of the elephant. Wium, where is it? Just, where am I now? There, look at that. I'll be honest with you, I'm a little bit rusty with my small animal names. But also over the years I've found it more fun to sometimes just enjoy the butterfly rather than know its exact name. I would love to know what these are. Some of you have an idea. I know them well. They're quite a common butterfly. They're sort of a very soft, like a pale, very, very light green color. Obviously there's a good patch of moist water or sand there for them. Illies in the background. Go away bird calling there. Grey lorie, the older name that I still like. In Afrikaans, actually, we call the go-away bird a kweful, from that sound. Kwee. Oh, the animals are running. Nyala seem to be quite happy. Whoop, sorry, Wium, I didn't see you on them. Hello, Joanne from the UK. A lot of English people actually into their birding, Joanne. I think it's because you've got great bird life there and make the most of it. There was oh, it's flown away. There was a beautiful starling sitting there, but I just love the view of Voitela Lodge in the background. Right in front of the lodge. I think the game drives are out by now. They're going out about the same time as we are, so let's go have a look at what's going on down there. Yes, Jan, we'll one of the things I miss about being out here on a more permanent basis, you know, when you spend a lot of time out here, you really get into the fine, small intricacies. Let's just look at those illies again. So just all these different views we're getting are just beautiful. There's lovely big acacia trees behind them, a few clouds in the sky. What a perfect place to be. In the bush, on a safari. But Joanne, yeah, certainly bird sounds and bird noises, I still recognize many and know many and can mimic many, but I'd love to spend some more permanent time out here again and just really get into the fine print, if you want, of the bush. See, this youngster had a good drink of water now. He's feeling all refreshed. That's sort of the sound that Debbie's referring to. Just asking, when elephants make that rumbling sound, where does it come from? From the chest or the trunk? It actually comes from the trunk, but more the top of the trunk, sort of where the trunk joins with the face, in that area there. One of the sounds we can hear, they make all these different sounds. Guys, and as I said, we're going to be sticking around here. There's lots of things going on. There's some monkeys we're still going to look at. Just have a quick look. We're going to go to the Bushwalk shortly. But just there to the right... Oh, actually, sorry, Wium, this is taking our attention right now. Is a playful female. You can see that. Feeling nice and refreshed from a good drink. recognize her. She's got that little, like a little finger almost of skin on the bottom left of the ear there. I recognize her from before, and she's also missing part of the trunk. Sort of lower.
To have you with us, and it's myself, Scott, Jeandré on camera with a backpack, a long antenna pole, and the camera. He's got a lot to think about, and Stefan is also here behind the scenes. Now, we've been told you were watching some elephant with Pieter, and we found you some other interesting stories about elephants and about what happens after they defecate. Now, this is quite a massive bolus of elephant dung, I'm guessing from a very big bull. I mean, it's absolutely huge. And what I'm going to show you about it is quite interesting. Now, I'll just move it ever so slightly. You can see how this side of the bolus of dung has kind of been removed by something. There's a piece of it missing. And when it was soft and fresh and workable, there would have been a dung beetle that came in and started gathering dung in this area. And once it finished gathering the dung, what it did was it excavated a burrow, and it would have carried that bolus of dung down into this burrow. And sadly, we can't see further enough down there, but isn't it wonderful how clever these dung beetles are? It buried its dung down there with an egg inside. Now, another thing that I'd like to show you, which wasn't too far away, and for those of you who were on the bushwalk with me 2 days ago, you would have seen me collect some marula nuts or seeds. These are them, the same type, but some of you will notice that they've been fed on in a very different way. And that is that you can see these little caps that are missing, that have been pried out by squirrel. And within that little hole is a very nutritious nut that the squirrel enjoys feeding on. Now, the other nuts that we saw the other day had been fed on by a rodent like a gerbil, and they couldn't open these little windows or holes to access the nuts and had to chew through a large portion of this nut in order to get to the seed. So these are from squirrels, and if we take just a few steps back, this big marula tree is the home of the squirrels, and in various cavities up in this tree, the squirrels would have been feasting, and then once they'd finished their snacks and it was time to do some hunting, it was quite simple. All they had to do was drop the nuts down, and that's why all around this marula tree are a whole bunch of the old seeds and nuts that the squirrels have fed on. We're going to carry on walking down the Mulwati riverbed and search for some other interesting stuff to show you guys. But while we do, we're going to send you back to Pieter. Enjoy, and we'll see you a bit later.
Hi, monkey. You know, monkeys, they're funny things, and we had this monkey sitting in a beautiful place. It looked like a postcard image. He was sitting in the fork of a tree, grinning at us while you were looking at those dung beetles, and then, of course, just before he came back, the monkey decided to jump up into the tree. Perhaps which is why they call the shrewdness of monkeys, these big troops that we get. This is a vervet monkey, and we're going to try and show you others that are not being so sneaky. There's a whole group of them, but they're all sort of hiding at the moment. There's a few here to the left also hiding. Let's see what we can find. Elephant dung is a great source of food and moisture and shelter and breeding place for so many little insects and things. Squirrels, for instance, often take those marula nuts that you saw out of the dung and get the nuts out of that. Monkeys love those marula nuts as well, but obviously before they went through the elephant. Hey, monkeys. Wasn't there one in this tree as well? Yeah. He's jumped across, maybe. We will show you a monkey this afternoon. Monkeys are funny things. These monkeys now are aware of the fact that we want to see them. Now they're hiding. Wait, there they go. There's the big male going up the tree. Let's see. Yeah, there we go. Sort of the warning sounds they make when they see a thing, leopards or snakes or something. And that's the big male. He's unfortunately right up in the foliage now, but he's got the bright blue markings, which is where the name vervet monkey comes from. On Afrikaans we call them blauw aapie, which means literally blue monkey, even though the whole monkey is not always blue. Well, I think I'm going to really try and do an eco-friendly game drive this afternoon. Now, there's many ways you can do that. We always try and do that, obviously. WildEarth is an eco-friendly business. We like to bring many people here without all the fuel expenditure of flights. This afternoon, I'm going to do my bit for the environment by driving very little, because everything is just all around us here. Those impala we were looking at earlier, look there at the waterhole, and look at what's coming in from the back there as well. It's a giraffe, or a giraffe, depending on where you're from. So I think we're going to just stick around here this afternoon and see what else pops out. It's a nice big male giraffe.
The impala just chased the monkey.
Oh, is there a monkey as well? I missed that.
Yeah.
Reminding each other that we all get along, but if I'm bigger than you, I'm going to drink first. Well, we haven't actually really moved very far, pretty much most of the drive. Glad HD is out there as well now. He's all good to go. And the reason we haven't been moving far is just because it's all happening around us. Vervet monkeys, elephants, they've just moved into the bush now. We can still hear them. Big male giraffe just came down. Some of those impala were just chasing the monkeys around. Not really in an aggressive manner, but just more in a playful, be mindful manner. You know, I'm drinking now, you wait your turn. But this last part of summer, before the really bigger rains come, really is, in terms of game viewing, the most productive. You know, people always ask, when should we come to Africa? Amazing little insect buzzing around me here. And I've always got the same answer, it will never change. In case you were wondering, the best time to come to Africa, the best time by far, bar none, is the first available opportunity that you have. Up until then, come on safari as often as you can with us here on WildEarth. Safari Live is a great way to experience Africa. But whenever you have the time, the first opportunity, get out here, come and see it. It's beautiful. But then in terms of the sort of the second best time, typically that answer would be winter, because winter is dry, animals go to the waterholes a lot. But this window, which is not always a fixed window, this window of sort of early summer, before the rains come, or the big rains come. I mean, there's been a bit of rain already, but when there's a bit of greenery, the bush is beautiful. I mean, this afternoon we have the stunning light, and just this light, the sort of fresh greenness of the bush, the new leaves and the light filtering through it, truly is adding a bit of magic to the afternoon. So you have that aspect, you have the baby animals starting to arrive, and before the rains come, you still have extremely productive animal viewing, especially around waterholes, this afternoon being a perfect example. So in terms of really just seeing game, this sort of October, November time in Kruger, Sabi Sands where we are, is extremely good. And you remember last year, Big Cat Week, those of you that joined us, this year hopefully again, it's an amazing time to just see game. There's just so much happening. Just look at this guy. So he's actually been following us around. I've been meaning to show him a few times and then I forget, other things happen. Stunning bird, you can see the colors there on it. And it's not coincidence that he's following us around, it's with purpose. He's eating insects. I'm not sure what he's eating there at the moment. Small something. Some of you might know what bird this is. I'm going to give it a few minutes before I tell you what it is, if you want to take a guess or if you know exactly what it is. And he's following us around because, just like other big animals, elephant or buffalo, or in this case a Land Rover, moving around the way we are, we're disturbing lots of little things. There's insects and grasshoppers and flies and things jumping up and moving around because of us. And of course, for this bird, it's an easy way to catch them. You can see them, and you can catch those little insects. Just look at this light. It's amazing. It's so beautiful. And the waterholes are active. It's hot. Everything's happening. Hayden sitting with one of the big five. Enjoy it, and we will see you back here again for some more wildlife action from our side.
Well, folks, we've just pulled up to this Treehouse Dam, this dam that I used to come to when it was full of water. I haven't seen it like this before, this low. But we've come up and there's all these buffalo here, these males, a bachelor herd here, and there's some very interesting dominance behaviour going on here. And anything could kick off here in a second with these two. You can see this posturing going on by the one individual, trying to show his dominance. Big male. Circling each other before potential engagement. Really incredible behaviour to see, folks. It's just great, circling each other. It's like two warriors, and whoever's the strongest will win that posturing display, or they may engage. Let's see what happens. So this boy right in front of us on the right hand side of your screen seems to be the strongest animal. The other animal has just walked away. We just don't know what could happen here, because this individual on the right hand side of your screen is definitely up for engagement. There's definitely a bit of tension around here, and I'm not sure whether this is a bachelor group that's known each other for some time, or whether it's two bachelor groups that have come together. But there's definitely some tension in the air, folks, that's for sure. I've just got my stills camera out too, so you may hear a little flick away on the shutter now and again if I see something interesting, but definitely some tension with these fantastic creatures. Just sit here for a while, I think, and watch what happens. Wow, what an amazing afternoon. Peter's seen some incredible stuff down there, and that's just what happens sometimes when you sit and wait and see it be at a water point. I can see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 individuals. Bryan's got one, a couple right behind the vehicle that might come into shot any second. Couple of big boys here, really old boys. They kneel down as well and do some neck rubbing and sort of as a real display of this sort of aggressiveness. And there's not a lot of other bovine. What we're going to do, folks, is we're going to sit here and watch these guys for a little bit. I'll come straight back if any action happens, but I think Peter's got something really beautiful to see, a symbol of Africa, and we're going to cross back to him now. We'll see you right back.
Well, welcome back again. It's all happening this afternoon. Buffalo, starlings, giraffe, this nice big bull. We've just repositioned slightly. I'm liking the sort of lower view we've enjoyed this afternoon of the waterhole. In fact, we're going to be looking at a lot of wildlife at this waterhole from sort of this kind of view. And I'm hoping he has another drink. He's had a few good drinks already, but again, just a nice angle to watch it from. giraffe, obviously a big bull like this guy, I mean, he would easily be probably close to 4 meters tall. So I have to get my conversion brain going again into feet, but we're looking at about 13, 14 feet, something like that. So it's quite no mean feat for him to get his head down, slurp the water up and stand up again. So it's always a beautiful thing to see. Yeah, he's finished drinking. Lovely view of him. Just going to reposition slightly and get us up there a bit, closer a bit. There's great bird life there as well. We've got helmeted guinea fowl, Egyptian goose, more Burchell starlings. Let's go have a look. Circle around a little bit. Actually, that's quite pretty, huh? Let's start with a bit of backlight there, Bryan. Wium. Old habit there. You can see that sort of narrow band of cloud in the distance, just creating this filter for us. There you can see the water bubbling out as well. This is water that's pumped into this pan, and it will provide us with many great wildlife views over the next few days. These are helmeted guinea fowl, also very sort of typically African birds. You see them depicted in many African paintings and artwork, and actually very popular in fabrics as well, African dresses and so on. They often use the sort of the inspiration of the colors and the shapes of guinea fowl. That bird, you know, calling there. We'll have a look at one just now. So the guinea fowl with the blue heads, that's a Burchell starling running down into the water there now, to the water's edge. Then as we pan to the right, there was another starling just now. Fresh elephant dung, nice mud for some warthogs later maybe. There you can see some more starlings, and where's that lory gone now? There he's hiding. We'll get closer to them again just now. That's the grey lory that you could hear calling just now. I think we're going to just find another angle again, look at some more of the bird life. But in the meantime, Scott and Brent have got some more tales to tell you on the bushwalk.
Well, isn't it an absolutely beautiful afternoon here in the Sabi Sands? These clouds have come in about the last half an hour and creating some beautiful scenery. We've probably only made it about 100 meters from where you left us, and we are so happy to have found you some really interesting stuff. Now, before you left us, we were talking about dung beetles and how they bury little boluses of dung that they roll up into tight, neat balls. And within that ball, they'll lay usually just one egg, and that one egg will hatch, and a little grub will then feed on the dung within the ball. Now, most of the time they get buried underground. Some of them bury the dung balls at the site of the dung, which is what happened back there with the elephant dung. Others roll the dung away. Either way, what you can see here is that clearly this youngster, this little grub, got caught out before it could mature fully. It had fed on the majority of the dung inside this capsule, but something had found it before it could survive to live another day. And the reason why we know that is because if we just have a quick look further down where we found this little ball of dung, which was over here, you can see something has come in and excavated, creating this pile of sand over here. Probably a slender mongoose, maybe a honey badger, but something with quite small paws and a very good sense of smell that would have come along sniffing until it smelt that grub under the ground, dug it out, and had a tasty morsel. So that's a nice continuation of the story from the little dung beetle that we got to see earlier that was freshly buried. This could well have been from last summer. Now, I'm told you guys are getting spoilt with a lot of action at the various waterholes with Pieter and Hayden, which is wonderful news. And we're going to rush back to camp now to give Andrew a turn to fly the drone around. So hopefully you'll get some images from the drone later, and it uses, for now, the same equipment that we need to broadcast for the bushwalk. So I'm going to have to say goodbye, sadly, but really look forward to getting Andrew a chance to take you on a little bit of a flight later on this afternoon. And we're going to send you over to Hayden and enjoy all the action at the waterholes and this beautiful, beautiful evening here at Wium. Bye-bye.
Well, it was a very tense moment there where you saw those individuals, what's called broadsiding, and they'll do that for quite some time. They'll walk around head to tail, walk around in a circle, walk around. It's when they start to face each other, that's when they'll engage. And it's normally the prelude to the engagement of battle. Obviously, the more dominant animal pushed the other one away there. We've had several individuals walk across in front of us here, very big individuals with big bosses. That's the middle part of the horn there that you've probably seen many times before. But if you have just joined us, the boss is spelt the same way, B-O-S-S, is that very, very hard cap on their skull that will protect their skull. And normally the bigger the boss, the older the animal. Down here we've got some classic behaviour from a bachelor herd, lying around in the cool of the day, coating themselves in what's left of this waterhole, but lovely, glorious mud, and protecting themselves from biting flies. And particularly as they get older, their hair starts to come off certain areas of their body, and their skin starts to be a bit more exposed to those biting flies and parasites. So this mud does assist them in that way as well. Look, yes, they do lie around and wallow around all day, rolling around in lots of their own stuff, I suppose to say, and they're just boys that just roll around in it all, and that's what they love doing. You can see them ruminating there, just like we saw the giraffe ruminating earlier this morning, chewing their cud, same digestive system as the giraffe, and very, very efficient feeders. Now, they're lying in that beautiful mud there. I don't know if there's going to be any more action. We just saw a real sort of dust fight when we came up here, but it all seems to have calmed down a little bit. There's a couple of red-billed oxpeckers down there. Bryan, I'm not sure if you can see. It's the individual at top of the screen. Yeah, you got him, mate. That's the one right in the middle there. And that's a beautiful, beautiful bird. I just got a question from Gail in Rhode Island, and Gail wants to know how you tell the age of a buffalo. Well, that is a little bit tricky, Gail. It's a great question, and welcome aboard. Thank you very, very much for being with us this afternoon. Certain individuals go through more battles than others, and some will break a horn, some will have a really, really rough time, and you can see individuals that have got such battle scars. They've got one horn, sometimes they've got a cavity in their horn that may end up becoming an infection, and meaning that they do end up potentially passing away to the great savanna in the sky, I suppose. But it's very, very tricky. Generally speaking, it is the size of the boss and the size of the curl in those horns, and there's lots of other contributing factors, but generally speaking it is that. And you can see that one, Bryan, I think just in the middle. I'd say if you went 6 o'clock, it's got one horn there, and that's exactly what I meant. They break off in battle, and this is like maybe the B grade, or let's call it the seniors rugby team that only plays once a year these days. They've left the herd, they've been pushed aside, and they've formed these bachelor groups. So great question, Gail, thank you very, very much. And it's really about the size of that boss, and that's the best way we can tell. Individual on the top of the screen there, it's quite a big boy there, big boy with a very, very lovely curl on his horns. We've got some those red-billed oxpeckers I just sort of mentioned before. I was just looking around to see if there's anything else happening, and sometimes when you stop at these water points, well, for want of a better term at the moment, you will get individual animals coming down to maybe do a little bit of a wallow. I did see some warthog up earlier before as well, so you just never know what can happen. But highly social creatures, buffalo. I really love buffalo, and I think I've mentioned it before when I've been in Juma. A lot of people drive past them. Some of the behaviours are quite interesting, particularly when you see a breeding or several breeding herds or clans. Let's see what happens here with these two boys, whether they're just following each other or he will turn around and face that individual. Sorry, I'm chopping and changing, folks. I'm just about what I'm saying. I'm just looking at individual behaviour, because there was some tension in the group before when we first arrived, and then I think the most dominant individual displaced a few of the others and moved on. Those red-billed oxpeckers, I've just got up on an app here, folks, and if I've never met you before, you'll probably learn about me that I do like my apps and my toys and my little bits and bobs, and they can be really, really helpful, particularly with birds. And if the bird's a long way away, sometimes we'll see a beautiful bird and you try and get closer to it, but it ends up being a black dot in a silhouette in the sky. But we've got these beautiful red-billed oxpeckers here, and this is what it looks like up close. But I think the lovely thing about this little app, if I can just go back to sorry Bryan, I do apologise pulling it down like that so quickly. I do have a little section in here which is a call, and it also gives you a great little section on where the birds occur. So really nice little bit of kit here, folks. And I think when you go out, one of the things I always say, and I know loads of the other presenters are right into their birds, you can drive around for a long time and not see a lot of mammals or anything else for that matter. It can be a really quiet day, and it happens, and that's no problem. That's the way the bush is. But you can always hear or see birds. This app is fantastic, and it does give that wonderful little vocalization. So really nice little bit of kit here, and it's probably the most popular app for birds of southern Africa, and I highly recommend it. It's a great thing to have, and if you don't want to carry too many books, I still got the book, It's really important. I love the book. The book's all dirty on the corners and thumbed, and it's got feathers in it, and it's got pieces of grass seed and little notes and things in it, and the book means a lot to me. But for ease of operation sometimes, having the app can be a really great thing. So just highly recommend that, and I will sort of draw into that as we go, if that's all right, and it's a nice bit of fun, particularly with kids. And folks, I have to say, if you have a problem with getting your kids away from those electronics, which we all do in our lives, when I say problems, you have to govern their time or master their time on these electronic pieces of equipment. Take the app outside. Take the piece of equipment out into the wilderness. Wherever you live in the world, there's going to be birds somewhere, and try and get an app that's for your region or your location, and get your kids to get out there and try and identify some birds or trees or anything for that matter. Connect with them. There can't be this disengagement that we think, well, these kids have got to read books. If we think like that, folks, we are going to miss the boat. We really are. The young people that we deal with in our worlds, whether they be our own or people we teach or come in contact with, the media, social media and electronics are part of their world. Bring it into the wilderness, bring it into the wild, and we will connect with those kids. We will reconnect them, and we'll show them that we want to work with them. Sorry, I'm really passionate about that, and I just think it's a great thing to be able to do. Well, it's all a little bit quiet here at the waterhole now, and okay. So we've got a question from Joyce wondering whether local people in Africa have utilised the buffalo the way North American indigenous people did, and I can't say that I've ever heard that, Joyce. I think that these are I know American buffalo or bison are formidable opponents as well, but I'm not sure that they've ever been utilised to the point of that the American buffalo has. So I'm pretty sure that these animals have got such incredibly adaptive personalities, and they can live pretty much anywhere as long as there's a bit of water around, and they go in vast herds like American buffalo, but I just don't think they were ever been hammered as much as the American buffalo. So hopefully that answers your question, Joyce, and thank you very, very much for watching us this afternoon and being with us on the vehicle. A lot of people are keen to know whether these animals are going to get stuck. Well, I can tell you now that the African or Cape buffalo four-wheel drive system is probably better than most four-wheel drive systems on the planet. They can engage low range very, very quickly and get it into low range and get out of those situations. But I have to tell you now, this is when they're vulnerable, but you have to have a pretty formidable group of lion to take on these guys. You really would. But it is a situation. If it was only one or two individuals, but they were really, really practiced at killing big bulls or hunting big bulls, then they might have some luck. But I would highly doubt that lions would attack these boys. Interesting too, you can see how a majority of the animals are lying with their rumps into the middle of the the mud wallow at this point that used to be Treehouse Dam, and still is Treehouse Dam, and will be full again after these superb rains come. But they're all facing outwards as well, and keeping a close eye. But hey ho, you never know. I'll tell you what we should do is we might cross back to Pete and see what he's up to. I'm sure he's got something down there with him. He's had a fantastic afternoon down there around Jeandré Waterhole, and we're going to drive on. It's been great to just sit here with these guys because very, very chilled, and the temperature's dropping as well, so you never know what's around the next corner.
Well, as all of us have said numerous times this afternoon, beautiful afternoon, has been very hot, is still very hot, but it is cooling down a little bit. And we had some lovely nyalas actually having a drink here as well. And Jules was just saying that they were displaying. I see this male just walking off now. They've sort of finished drinking, so we're not going to stick around too much longer. But you can see a little bit of a display still there. This is called piloerection. When the hair is all standing up like that, you can see the whole mane, if you want, along the back, the neck, the belly, all the way to the tail. It sort of makes this halo of hair around the Nyala bull. Probably of all the antelope, I mean, all antelope do this to some extent or another, but certainly Nyala is by far the most dramatic and even theatrical in their displays when they do these beautiful, slow dances, or posturing, if you want. Posturing would be the word I meant to say, around each other. But this guy just sort of feeling a little bit groovy this afternoon after his drink. I think all of us might be feeling a bit groovy. The cloud is blocking the sun, so it's really dropped a few degrees now. It's almost pleasant. It's only probably about 100 degrees Fahrenheit now. Bit of a breeze, always nice, as long as you drink enough liquids. Guys, this is a very important tip when you travel to Africa, or travel anywhere really, but when you travel to Africa where it's hot, make sure you get enough liquids in you. You don't often feel it, but you are sweating the whole time, so it's important to stay cool. But we're going to leave this for now. I am going to come back here again a little bit later in the afternoon, but we've had such a lovely experience around Gowrie Waterhole. It's been, let's quickly count. I mean, apart from the birds, just mammal-wise, we had the elephant to start, giraffe, impala, nyala, kudu, which we didn't really have a look at, but they came past. Vervet monkeys, am I forgetting one, Wium? I think that's 6 species just here, and then of course beautiful birds as well. We are going to come back here again, but as I said in the beginning of the drive, we had leopard tracks this morning, mvula, which means rain, which is something we're all hoping for at the moment. Actually, let's just do a quick look back there as well, just towards the skyline. Let's get these trees in shot for you. Mvula wasn't far from me this morning. We had the tracks, Brent and them followed up as well. Liam and I also saw them, and I've got a little bit of a hope, or a sneaky suspicion even, that he might pop out here this afternoon, maybe even at this waterhole later on. I'll just give you a quick idea of the clouds we've been talking about. Sorry, Wium, let me get my head out the way. There we go. We should have a beautiful sunset later on. In fact, why say later on? We have a beautiful sunset developing already as we speak. Now, these are not rain clouds, but they could be the whisper of rain to come in the next day or two. Of course, we will keep our eyes wide open for that. To have a bit of rain now, or even a lot of rain, would be brilliant. I mean, we don't want the sort of Cannes, France kind of rain, but a good bushveld thunderstorm would be awesome. Not only for the temperature, much more so for the animals and the habitat around us. So we're going to keep an eye on that. Obviously, that's really beautiful. Always nice to see a sunset. Nice to have you on drive with us. Let's go see if we can't find a leopard. What's the time now? 5:15. We've got a little bit more than half the drive to go still, so many things can still happen. Let's go see if we can find some of them. Oh, stunning. From the UK, I hope to always have my leopard mojo with me. I've got a permanent pouch in my bag for my leopard mojo, and that's only for that. But certainly the elephants have been making up for that. So I'm hoping for leopard. We always hope for leopard. I mean, if you drive around anywhere in the bush, you're always looking for that dappled surprise somewhere. But Sabi Sands, of course, the area that we are in, some of the best, if not perhaps the best leopard viewing in the world. And only hope for the best as the afternoon goes along. Like mvula, to come back to the leopard that I hope we can find this afternoon, keep in mind Karula has also been hanging around over the last few weeks around Boyatella area. Speculation of a cub. Always exciting to have that possibility around. And mvula, he's a dominant male leopard. And again, Scott and Stefan, the guys, and Graham as well, who always keeps really up to date with all the leopard movement here. Mvula's territory has been shifted a little bit by Tingana, a big male leopard, which is more towards the east. That sort of pushed him a little bit. So he's on the sort of towards the edge of his area now. Mulwati drainage line, Boyatella Dam, that's sort of where the patrol area would be. And looking at his tracks from this morning, It certainly looks like he has been patrolling and scent marking. In fact, we saw a place where he scent marked. So that gives me a good feeling that he could be heading down towards Gowrie Water. That would be a very important place for him to scent mark. It's a very prominent place to mark. So we are going to be looking for him. And let's have a quick look at these guys. I do want to look around a little bit, so we're not going to stay with them too long because we spent time earlier. We'll probably spend time with them again later as well. But they're nice and close and we like them. Let's have a look at these ellies. Can never see too many elephant. Especially this herd. You know, they around here very often. We see them a lot, so they're also comfortable with us. You can see it right here. Hello, how are you? Now you recognize elephant over time from little markings, sometimes specific folds in the trunk, but in this case, if you look at his ear just at the top right there, okay, he's now keeping himself cool by moving, but that area would be a sort of a telltale marking for this young elephant. Got a little hole in there, quite fresh by the look of it, maybe 6 months ago or so. And over time, as these elephants get older, they get little cuts and tears and holes and punctures in the ears, and you can get to know them from that. This one's a couple of years old, so already eating his own food, and what he's eating there at the moment, I know Scott actually this morning on his walk, for those of you that joined us for the AM safari, he was showing this specific kind of bush and showing where elephants had eaten it. This is a sickle bush, and we used to always say the Latin name for a sickle bush, and you must listen carefully now, is a Landrovius flatyrius. Because sickle bush have got these very hard spines. They don't actually have thorns, they've got these hard spines, and they're one of the main causes of flat tires for Land Rovers in the bush. So we used to call it Landrovius flatyrius. That's the bush we're looking at right there with those thin leaves. Dicrostachys macronata, I think, is the real Latin name for it, only because back in the day when they named them, they didn't have Land Rovers yet. Look at this one sneaking up behind us. I don't know if we can actually see it. It's right behind us at the moment. Keep in mind we've got a passenger on the vehicle. We don't typically like showing the back of the vehicle, but this is a good one. Rowan was flat down there as well. Thought he might grab you for a second there, Rowan. Oh guys, I'm glad we stopped for these ellies. Look at that. Beautiful female again. Lovely late afternoon light now. Best time, the golden hour to be in the bush. Got a question from Michigan. Zelma asking, sorry guys, I was thinking two things all at once there, so I was only partly listening. Can you repeat your question please, Zelma? My apologies. I know you were asking something, but I forgot what it was. Wium, did you hear it? Yes, good question. And yes is the answer. Elephants do dig up soil and eat it sometimes for extra nutrients. And the only reason I didn't quite catch your question there the first time, I was thinking of a Afrikaans nursery rhyme, which is about elephant, and it goes like this. Now, probably no one will understand this, but I will translate for you afterwards. Oom olifant, jou reuse dier, die mense lag vir hul plesier. Want waar het jy al ooit gehoor van 'n stertjie van agter en 'n stertjie van voor? Now, unfortunately, to translate that into English, I mean, I can tell you the meaning, which I'll do shortly, but it doesn't quite sort of have the same panache, if you want, or the same rhythm and rhyme. But it says that, Mr. Elephant, your magnificent, massive animal. People are laughing for their pleasure when they see you. Because where have you ever heard of an animal with a tail at the back and a tail at the front? And that's a little nursery rhyme I learned as a kid, and I still love that. Whenever I see ellies like this, when they're walking away and their tails are swinging, it makes me think of it. A rhyme that I will be teaching my kids quite soon. This is good times for elephants now. They, as we said earlier, even though it hasn't rained much, obviously we have all this new leaf flush, and that's giving them great food. Very well demonstrated by this young female at the moment. Something's going on. You could obviously hear the elephant off to our right hand side, that nice clear loud rumble, but there's another one further away, so they're busy chatting to each other. Let's stay with them a couple minutes more, just see if this guy comes out and fly on the lens there. This youngster was very comfortable with us earlier, so maybe might come over for a little greeting. Also lovely just to sit and listen. Hear the birds and the silence. Elephant herds just make this beautiful, almost tranquil sound when they're moving through the bush. A little branch snapping here. Some grass being pulled out of the ground over there. Okay, so let's just sit for a little bit and listen to them. There's a brief moment there where that big elephant in the back was listening as well. I was just taking a minute or so, just sitting and listening to them. It's really, I mean, we talk a lot on this drive. Obviously, there's lots I want to tell you and share you, and I also want to try and sort of help paint the picture around us. But a great part of the safari is also just to do exactly that. Just sit back and watch and listen and take in and experience and feel, really. So good to do that. I'm very keen to move on as well. I do want to look around a little bit for, well, for many things, but certainly for Marula the leopard that we know is somewhere in the area. Let's have a last look at this old, well, not that old, she's actually a young lady. Luckily I said that in English. If I'd said that in elephant, we would have had a problem calling a young lady an old lady. Looking for the next tasty bunch of leaves to eat. Marisha saying loves the sound of elephants, that rumbling. It is a great sound. Really great sound. Beautiful name, Marisha. Where are you from, Marisha? Didn't catch that in your question. All right, looking for a leopard. Might come back to these ellies later on again, but for now I want to head up towards Bushwalk Dam. Check the place. We saw the last tracks from Mbula this morning. With a little bit of luck, maybe a lot of luck, but even just a little bit might help. We might find Mbula on this road. We found him pretty much at the end of this road in the drainage line. Not him, but his tracks, where he was this morning. We know it for a fact in terms of the age of the tracks. So he might be walking down this road or somewhere in this block maybe. So we're going to check that, go up to Bushwalk Dam quickly. Water is a good place to check. And then maybe come back towards Gowrie Waterhole again. It's been very productive this afternoon. But otherwise, just the drive will be very pleasant as well. It's a little bit cooler now. If I was a leopard, I'd be up and moving around. Stunning light, obviously, as I've said, I think maybe 20 times already. But it's getting better, so I'm going to say it another at least 10 times before the end of drive. Best job in the world, right here. Thank you. Thank you for making it possible. Sure if I'm getting that name right. I'm not sure if it's Happy or Patsy. Or Patty or Happy. Kathy. Okay, thank you. Sorry. We are talking over radio sometimes, so it's not always getting exactly the right words. Kathy is just asking if elephants have sorry Kathy. Happy's quite a good name though, if you're a Smurf especially. Some kinds of rumbles for elephants. Yes, there are some of which we can hear, some that we can't even hear. Over 30 different kinds that we're aware of. I haven't been reading on that recently, but many different sounds, many different ways of communication.
Folks, I just wanted to stop right here. We came around this corner and look at these beautiful, beautiful, one of my favorite antelopes on the planet. We have an incredible bachelor group of beautiful kudu. And that noise you can hear, folks, is our little drone. So that little sound you can hear is our drone flying overhead, and the animals really don't. They can hear something, but they're not really that disturbed. They're completely fine. They're looking at us. Absolutely sensational. So we've got a lovely little breeding herd of impala about to walk into shot as well. But look at those horns on this particular individual walking away from us at the moment. The one on the right is just fantastic. So you might hear those buzzing bees. That's our little drone flying overhead at the moment. Fantastic. And that beautiful little herd of impala. The afternoon sun is going down and down. The temperature's dropping. This is the time of the day I really love in Africa. Everything starts to settle down. These impala will probably spend their night up in this open area. It's a very safe area for them. Well, when I say very safe, it's a safer area than them being in a more vegetative area. So in the evening, they start to congregate in the openness, or as open an area as they can possibly get. I'm just going to drive up a little bit further so Bryan can get a bit more of a shot of these. So really lovely just to drive up slowly. And what we can do is just sit here with them, and you can see these bulls are starting. There's one, Bryan, just there. Yeah, on the right hand side of your screen actually, mate. Yeah, that one there. He's using his horns. He's sort of just a little bit of a dominant sort of behaviour. Many of the antelope do it. These particular antelope are in a family called the spiraled horned antelope family, and there's a few different animals in there. There's nyala, kudu, lesser kudu, eland as well, and there's a couple of African species up in the middle of Africa, one called bongo, beautiful, but they've all got that some sort of spiral in their horn. I just love kudu. I just think they're really elegant antelope. Got that sort of loping gait as well. They look a bit stiff when they walk, but I tell you what, these boys here can clear a 2-meter fence and some effortlessly. They are fantastic jumpers. And this boy on the right hand side of the screen that you've got in your vision at the moment, he's the most dominant of the four of them, and he sort of walks over to the others a little bit and just has to posture towards them, and they move away. Really beautiful. And I have to say, folks, this is the sort of thing, you know, it is a mixture of all these different species that make it such an incredibly interesting experience. Again, I always mention impala and not giving them that cursory glance that one has a tendency to do when you see them every 5 seconds. In November when they're calving up here, my goodness, but there's so many, but the same thing, they're just a perfectly designed antelope impala as well. So I've got a question from Grace in Dallas, and Grace, welcome aboard. Fantastic to have you with us. I've been to Dallas once or twice, a wonderful city. Thank you very, very much for being here with us on the back of our vehicle. Your question's an interesting one, and I have been asked this before, and it's one would think, why doesn't it happen? Do different species of antelope mate? It doesn't happen, Grace. Nature has very kindly organised itself that doesn't happen. And I've never ever heard of any situation like that ever before. In a captive situation, you'll start to get behaviour that's very, very unusual behaviour, and you will get maybe horses and donkeys, or horses and zebras, or those sorts of things. Sometimes it does occur, and people sometimes force that, but that's probably really going down the wrong track. It doesn't happen in the wild, and Mother Nature has organised very, very well. But great question, and it definitely doesn't happen between species. Sometimes, now let me say this, subspecies of the same species, for example, the forest buffalo and the plains buffalo or Cape buffalo, or the bigger buffalo that you'll get up in somewhere like Uganda, on the periphery of those forests where the forest meets the open grassland, you will get a couple of variations where the two different subspecies may have crossed over. So that sort of thing does happen, but it wouldn't happen with kudu and impala, for example, Grace. So interesting question, Grace, and thank you very much for being with us. I'm just going to move over a little bit and see what else we can see. Really lovely sunset, Bryan. I'm just going to get you in a better spot. It's just going down behind a cloud. I think it's probably... Oh, how's that for you, buddy? Is that alright? Just a lovely little spot. We won't linger here too long. I know you guys see millions of sunsets, but at the same time, a little bit like the Impala, I struggle to drive past them. It's just a moment just to have a little 10 seconds of 15 seconds without my dulcet tones. Just really nice to sit and be with that for a little bit. Obviously I was joking about dulcet tones, I assure you. It's a nice thing just to stop and take a breath. So we're just coming down to the bottom of this little road that goes between Quarantine and, or right through the middle of Quarantine, and our Kudu friends have kindly decided to walk the same direction, so we're going to get a much more closer up, personal little encounter with them. Completely fine. I'm just rolling down. I'm going to stop there. As soon as you start to see that alert behaviour of the individual that just coming into shot, Bryan, on the right, he's just getting a little bit more anxious that I was getting a bit close there, so he's just caught up with the other ones, and now they're all going to go into another little area to browse. But what a spectacular antelope. I mean, nature has really got that right, haven't they? My goodness, the detail. Look at the stripe underneath the neck fringe there. There's the dark, beautiful dark band of hair, and here comes the big boy with the really wide splay. He's going to come up in here in a second, Bryan. I think he's the most dominant animal. And for those of you that have heard this probably many times before, those stripes down the side are all individual, like a little fingerprint. They're there for a few reasons. They're there to break the animal's shape, but they're definitely a little fingerprint. They're all different on Kudu. Going to move on, folks. I think these individuals have been fantastic for us, and they're moved into their preferred habitat. Their preferred habitat is this sort of scrubby woodland that they can have good concealment in. So they're a bit more limited than other antelope. They'll come out into the open a little bit, but the majority of the time they prefer exactly what they're walking into now. Right. up this Viatella, what we call the Viatella access road, and it's a northwesterly road, beautiful little road we often see things on. Giraffe like to travel down here quite a lot. Elephant like to walk down here. I often come down here in the morning and I see elephant tracks and sometimes leopard track. I like to use this as well, and it's a really great road to drive down, but we often see giraffe tracks down here as well. I'm just going to pop in here, and as I go up into here I'll see what else we can find, folks. If we come across anything, I promise you'll be back with us. Sorry about that. You'll be back with us right now for a second, because look what I just spotted there. Okay, they're just on the other side of this bush. Speak of our little tracks that we were just talking about, there's a giraffe. Nice. Lovely giraffe. I think could be a different bull than what we saw earlier this morning. Not really sure, but he's just browsing away in this area where the Kudu are heading up towards in this northwesterly direction. A couple of oxpeckers on his back there. Fantastic. And that little sound you might hear again, folks, is our drone. I love it. Just the whole idea of having this top shot as well of these incredible places and these habitats is so very, very exciting. Well, we're going to stick with our giraffe bull here for a little bit, and what we'll do is cross over to Pieter and see what he's up to.
Well guys, welcome back this side. Great giraffe with Hayden, lots of things happening. We've just spotted one of the most interesting animals probably in the world, certainly from a species point of view, but also this particular individual is quite an interesting one. It is Brent Leo Smith. He's standing right there. And he's got some very interesting news for us. I'm very, very excited about what I heard on the radio. I don't know exactly which one it is yet, but let's have a quick hello. And many of you know this guy. If you don't, as I said, he's a particularly interesting individual of the species Homo sapiens.
Hello everyone.
How's it going?
How's it, Pete?
Good. I believe you've got some good news.
Yeah, we do.
You're just grinning because it's
I'm very
cooling down
happy.
now.
We've been walking in this block since about 3:30, and we've got 2 Shanghai trackers for the first time
Yes,
joining
I
us.
mentioned earlier.
And James is with us, so I'm going to just jump on the back and
Yeah,
I'll show you
course.
James, and then we'll just make sure she doesn't move. It
Awesome.
looks like she's got a kill, but we didn't want to go too close.
Awesome.
So we're going to go in and have a look. I'll just jump on the other side of the book.
You want to jump in next to me, yeah, Brent? Jump in there. Sure we can fit more stuff in. Awesome. Nice that it's cooled down as well now.
So it was very hot in those drainage lines earlier. But also we're really excited. You're going to be able to verify, getting close with the vehicle, whether she's got cubs or suckle marks or whatnot. And that's the
Anything
whole
like that,
reason
yeah.
we've been searching this area.
I've been keeping a little bit secret, but you guys could probably guess what I was referring to. I was more just talking about the interesting two-legged species that we're going to bump into. But Brenton have found a leopard, female at that, most likely Karula. Now obviously all of us have got a soft spot for her. And all of us are obviously wondering, this way, wondering, nice giraffe there, but we'll get back to them later on maybe. All of us obviously wondering, Karula might have some youngsters or a youngster around. Typically she likes to come into this area when she does. Had some bad luck with the last youngsters, so let's keep our fingers crossed though. Nice to have in the vehicle as well. It's the first time I'm actually driving around on a live drive, so I hope there's more opportunity to do some of this in future. Very thick block this as well, so no ways we would have ever found this if it wasn't for the guys getting India on foot, and not only being on foot but also having exceptional skill when it comes to tracking. There I can see another person.
Yep.
Looks like Scott.
James James and
Jeffrey and Bright. What a name, Bright, huh? Oh, as they're doing that, just look at their body posture, just look at how they're behaving. I love watching humans in nature as well. You can see the way they're moving, if they're seeing something.
she's on the move, so we're going to leave you to keep up with her.
Cool.
So we'll see you later.
Thank you very much.
Cheers, guys.
Stars. Guys, this is so awesome. James, how's it going?
Good. She did stop. She stopped here and then just slowly walked
Straight
down.
in that way.
Hello, everybody.
Do you have a bumper, guys?
No, she's
Not. Okay,
yeah.
cool. Guys, James, quick introduction. Bright, Jeffrey, we mentioned them. You're going to know more about them. Best eyes in the business. Thanks, guys. Okay, she was moving away, so we're going to have to catch up again. Very, very thick bush, this thick block. She is heading towards that busy waterhole from earlier this afternoon down towards Wojtyla Lodge. Let's just try and catch her. Look for the tail tip, huh? That'll be probably the first thing we spot. You see her? Oh, Wium. Wium should be on tracking duty when he's not on camera. Oh, guys, now this is for me a very, very special cat to see. Queen of Juma. Let's just verify that it is her. Those of you that know this leopard well, have a look with me as well, but we're looking for that wow on the forehead. As you can actually have a nice close look with the camera there as well, if someone can help me verify. But as we stopped, I saw that wow in the forehead, so I'm pretty sure it's Karula. But I've seen her once last year since we've been here, and it's the second time only that I'm seeing, or the third time maybe in the last 6 or 7 years. So it would be nice to just get a confirmation from many of you who know this leopard well. Oh, this is just so awesome. Seeing any leopard, guys. Now, firstly, let's just backtrack here. If this is maybe one of your first drives, to see a leopard like this relaxed, this comfortable with our presence, that is something amazing in itself. Obviously, a leopard that we know well, who we've shared many moments with, many experiences with, seen her raise various cubs. I mean, I've known 3 of her litters very well. Not a youngster anymore as well. She's now getting on to about 11 years old. Guys, I must just quickly... Let's just quickly call this in. I think Brent and them will talk to the game drives, but just to confirm. Yeah, if and Brent, the radio's interfering with that broadcast. If you could just let the game drivers know, please. But yeah, awesome view. She's settled down. Thank you, Nkomo Sanene. Awesome. Full belly. Now, Brent did say it looked like she wasn't a kill. James said not an a kill anymore, so maybe she had something small and finished it, or... Oh. Yeah, definitely Karula. Hello, lady. Amazing. Sandy, Ahisa, nice to hear those names. I'm sure everyone else that's known this cat for so long. As now, just to give you a quick sort of background on this leopard, and maybe me and this leopard, if you want. When I started visiting the first time at Juma and then working here later on, this is going back into the early 2000s, very early 2000s. The first leopard I saw was her mother, Safari, which was an incredible leopard. Many of you might remember her from the early WildEarth days. We still saw Safari, that female with the one eye that looked like, always reminded me of a planet, of the planet Jupiter. Safari was an incredible cat, incredible hunter. Safari lived to, and please, Claire and Karen and you guys that have these histories were very well documented. Safari lived to, I think it was 18 or 17 and a half years old, really old. And she eventually made space for Karula, basically letting her use this Voitela area as her territory. And Karula has been an incredibly successful mother. She's raised, again, my history is a little bit sort of not detailed at the moment. I haven't been thinking and talking about this that often the last couple of years, but she's raised successfully 5 litters now. And everyone hoping and wishing that she's got a cub again. The last cubs got killed, Wium, help me, it was by a hyena, huh?
Yeah.
I remember it was seen actually. I wasn't here unfortunately, but the dramas and sort of elations and ups and downs and all the aspects of this cat's life has really been shared by so many people around the world. I would dare say that this is the most famous leopard in the world. I would say more people know about this leopard, or have heard of this leopard, or have seen pictures of this leopard, or have seen pictures of this leopard's offspring than maybe any other leopard in the world. So for me to sit here now, 15 years later, after seeing her mother Safari the first time, and having known Karula since she was young, I've known her since her first litter. 2007, 8, 9, those years with WildEarth here, we were really spoiled. We literally saw her raising those youngsters. First, I've just gone blank. I'm just really happy at the moment. I could just sit here and listen to nothing, listen to the sounds. But first, Shadow and Tandi, we used to call them Tingana and I'm confused now. What is it? Shadow and? Shadow used to be called Tingana, and it's Tandi, huh? The sister. We used to call her Saseka, so it also means beautiful. And then later on, Mishon and Duna, 2 male cubs, beautiful cubs, and of course now Kunyuma that we still see often. Kunyuma, one of my favorite male leopards of all time, is one of her, is her last sort of grown offspring. So when she gets up again, we're going to have a careful look. It would be great if she rolls onto her back or stretches a bit. She might do that. If she does have a small cub, we're talking about a cub that's maybe weeks old, and you would clearly see those suckle marks in the soft white hair on the belly of this leopard. So we're going to try and see that, and obviously stick with her. We're going to do everything we can to follow her for the rest of the drive. Yeah, guys, thanks so much again. I mean, coming back today, the first drive this morning for HT and myself, just sort of uniting again and reuniting with the crew down here. It's been so awesome. The many messages of welcome back and nice to be back and so on. And it really is fantastic to be welcomed back into a family like that. And many messages coming through now. John just letting us know, and various other people that they're really happy for me to be reuniting with Karula. And I'll be honest with you, I'm very happy to be sitting here. Even more so to be sitting with so many of you that have seen this leopard many times over the years, maybe seeing her for the first time now. It would be great if she raises another 1 or 2 or 3 litters even. If she's 11 now, and if she's as strong and as healthy as a mother Safari, she might well have cubs until she's 13. She might have another 2 litters in her. So, you know, her story is still one that's really going to be told, and you're going to love getting to know her. Amazing cat, this. Absolutely stunning. Isabella from Ohio, so welcome on the drive. You are 4 years old. That's the same age as my daughter Sydney. She's 4 as well. Can't wait to bring her here. She loves animals, absolutely loves animals. I'd have to hold her back now, otherwise she'd jump off and go and grab this leopard. But Isabella, this leopard's mummy and daddy, they've moved on. I can't remember who her father is. There's speculation about the brain, huh? So many things to remember. I've been away from here for most of the last 7 years. I'm going to remember his name just now. The male that we think was the father of this leopard. Yes, Mafufunyan. Thank you, Wium. Mafufunyan. Big male leopard. And her mummy was called Safari, Isabella, and her mummy was an amazing leopard. Her mummy was the first leopard I ever saw in this area, and she was incredible. Known as Safari, but she's moved on to a better place now, I guess. Wherever animals go when they leave from this world, into the clouds and into the trees and into the wind, that's where her mummy is now. Into Karula's offspring. Look at how close she is, guys. She's right there. There she is. For all of you youngsters out there, all of you kids at heart, any of you younger than 100 years or so, so nice to have you here to share this. Look at how that dappled skin blends into the surroundings. Let's try and stick with her. We'll do our utmost best. Oh, that's beautiful. Look at that. Through the sickle bush here, that Landrovius flattarius we were talking about earlier. Great it would be if Mission and Duna show up. Now again, just to give you some sort of family tree background here, Mission and Duna were her previous cubs from quite a few years ago actually. So her second set, and beautiful cats. I knew them very well from young until they became independent. Induna's still seen up to not too long ago to the north a little bit. I don't think he's seen anymore. Keep in mind, male cubs when they mature, they leave the area. They sort of move away and find new territory somewhere when they're old enough and big enough. The females tend to stay, as we've seen with Safari and Karula, and with Safari's female offspring again, Shadow and Tundi, they tend to stay around in their sort of ancestral areas, which is why you get to really understand and know this leopard over the years. Karula, by the way, her name means peaceful. What a beautiful name. My one dog is called Karula, just to give you an idea of how much this leopard has influenced my life. Tundi and Shay and Karula, my 3 dogs. Just look at how beautiful they are, so graceful. Just flowing motion when you see them walk. Oh. Happy days. Happy days. So I know the Game Drive channel interferes a bit, so excuse me if it breaks up. I just have to give a quick update. Game Drive channel, sorry, my radio is interfering with the broadcast, but just to update, Karula is now on that shortcut between Gallagher shortcut and Bushwalk boundary. I'm heading along the road towards Voitela direction. Yeah, Ephraim or yours, if anyone's responding, you can just pull in if you see me. Standing by. Not yet, we're checking as well as we can. at that tail twitching. This sort of excitement barometer, if you want, of a leopard. Seeing something, hearing something, maybe. In fact, let me just kill the lights for now, so we'll put them on again just now. Now, she's got a relatively full belly, so like any predator, and especially any solitary predator, any opportunity will be taken up. If she sees an opportunity now to hunt something, she'll go for it. But her main focus is not hunting at the moment. I've got a feeling her main focus is heading down towards Gowrie Dam, perhaps for a drink. Perhaps, who knows, to a little dappled bundle of excitement. Who knows? I'll be honest with you, I've been planning to look at the potential suckle marks every time, but every time she walks, I'm just a little bit caught up in just the fact that we're driving with a leopard, and not just any leopard, but Karula. So I must say, my gut feeling here is that it doesn't look like she's got suckle marks. Obviously, I would love to say the contrary to that, but it doesn't look like it to me just at a quick glance. But it doesn't mean that it's not the case. There's lots of soft hair in the belly of a leopard. Oh, and I hope we can stay with her. This is getting jungle country down there. Spotted Wium. Got a hyena here behind us. Let's just try and show you quickly. I don't think they've actually seen each other. The only one that's seen both of them is Wium, but as we know, Wium is rather awake type of chap. Sorry, I meant to say. There goes the hyena. Spotted a hyena. Didn't spot the leopard. The leopard might have actually, yes, she's coming back to the road. I don't know, maybe she saw the hyena coming, maybe she smelt it, the breeze is coming from there. Maybe that's what the tail was twitching about earlier. But she certainly didn't behave like she was trying to hide. She just avoided the hyena. He never saw her. She's on a little footpath here, so we're going to try and stick with her. Amazing. Seeing a leopard is like seeing a beautiful sunrise. No matter how many you've seen, doesn't make the next one less special. How many times you see leopard, it never seems to blow my mind. Guys, I'm going to try and stick with her, just get through the stick stuff now. Hayden's got something to show you. And I know that Hayden's going to be super stoked about seeing this leopard as well. It's one of the great things about Hayden and all the guys here, but we get so excited when the other guys find stuff. So enjoy the time with him. We're going to try and stay with her. We'll get you back here if we can.
Well, we've just come up. This is an exciting afternoon. I love it how this works. I just heard that Pieter has seen Karula as well, which has made my absolute day, and I'm sure many other people's as well. We've just come onto a beautiful herd of giraffe. It's just happening here. I love it. I love it. This time of the night. I'm just going to come around this corner. We've got about 7 giraffes. Really great to see so many giraffes on the reserve at the moment. And they're browsing along the way here. There's a really big bull with them. Just going to come around the corner. I think they've moved out into this open area. So we'll just see where they are. Just been sitting behind them. Oh, this is beautiful. Look at them all here. Excellent stuff. I'm just going to roll down here. Just through this little bit of vegetation, we have a beautiful, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. What's that like for you, Bryan? It's a bit tight there, isn't it, mate? Let me just go back a bit for you, buddy. Is that a bit better, mate? Yeah. Absolutely fantastic. What a way to finish the day. Giraffe, Karula. This is just beautiful. It's so good to be back. And you can hear that little hum possibly above. That's our little drone. Giraffes don't even acknowledge it. Really lovely. There's a really tranquil setting, and they've been feeding on several different species of plants. Look, I just wanted to show you those giraffe folks. Let me just drive back a bit so Brian's got a little bit, sorry, we've pulled back a little bit. I just wanted, sorry Brian, I was just seeing if they were going to all regroup there like we had before. We had that really beautiful shot where they were all grouped. They're moving off. I'm going to let them go off into the vegetation now, folks. And what a lovely thing to see this many giraffes today. It's been an absolute giraffe-tastic day for me, and I'm sure it has for you as well. And Pete saw some beautiful ones on the waterhole, but I just have to throw back to Pete, because this is one of the most exciting things. That leopard and Pieter are sort of synonymous in the same sentence. They've spent a lot of time together. He knows that leopard better than anyone, and for her not to be seen for so long, and I'm pretty sure I heard Brent's voice in there somewhere, so I think one of the bloodhounds, and I think it was Brent, I'm not sure, but he had a bit of a hand in finding that, so whoever it was, hallelujah. But Karula is with Pieter, so let's go back to him.
Well guys, welcome back. Luckily we have Wium on the vehicle who's got super duper eyes, but guys, sorry, there's some bad logs here. This really is just 2 steps this side of an impenetrable forest that we've gone through now. She is somewhere off to our right, I'm thinking. Very difficult light now as well. Let's just see if we can pick up anything. Beautiful giraffe here with Hayden, and I'm sure Hayden had a big smile on his face about Karula. She's moving very carefully, and we will do everything we can within reason to stay with her.
I have a visual.
Yeah, not at the moment, but she should be somewhere sort of there in the area that you're looking now. Now, unlike with elephant that you can listen for, leopards don't really make a lot of sound when they're walking. In fact, almost none at all. Might still be behind us slightly. Time of night now in terms of hunting in general for predators as a whole, because this light is what we call crepuscular light, so it's not daylight, it's not night, it's sort of that in-between light, and it actually can almost play tricks on your eyes. And nothing will be trickier to see than a leopard in this kind of light, just because they just fade into little pixels almost. Pixels or pixies, depending. Sit here for a little bit. This termite mound does give a little bit of a visual landmark, at least. Leopard often use termite mounds or pushed over trees as visual markings, but might have lost her in this. Good question, Barbara. Just asking, sorry I'm not looking at you while I'm talking, but I really am hoping to pick up this cat again. Barbara just asking if she did have a cub or cubs, wouldn't she perhaps purposefully try and lead us away from the den where she might be hiding them? Barbara, in some cases, possibly, but more likely if she didn't want us to go there, she would just disappear. Now, in this case, she disappeared not because of her wanting to, she disappeared because of the terrain just being too tricky for us to keep up in a big vehicle. But also this leopard, and that's the beauty of this area as a whole, but specifically Karula, you know, we know this cat well. She's extremely comfortable with vehicles, and if she did have a small cub, she would actually allow us to follow her in and get in there. Now, normally we do wait a while before we start viewing them in general, but she wouldn't necessarily try and, you know, avoid us or avoid us following her. But this was just purely habitat, sort of circumstantial rather than deliberate. No, thought I saw something. Slowly start turning around here. Maybe we still spot her. To be honest with you, obviously I would love to stay with her. But at the same time, I'm always happy not to sort of forcefully stay with them, you know. In their own space as well. Jackie, nice to have your class on drive. Great thing for you guys to do at school. Thank you to the teacher. A good teacher that gets kids an experience like this. All teachers are good, by the way. Special calling. Jackie, but you just asking, what's the life expectancy of a leopard? Now, as we said earlier, her mother safari reached, and actually someone can confirm that for me, I think it was almost 18 years old, or even older, 18, 19. She was very old when she passed away. But that's exceptionally old. For a male leopard, males compete a lot for territories. They fight a lot more because of the sort of dominant nature of them. They would reach about 10, 12, 13 would be an old male. 14 maybe. Females a little bit older, 14, 15, and then, you know, exceptional cases, 18, 19, 20 years old. And Karula, again, aged as we find with humans, it's obviously your surroundings and environment plays a role, but genetics plays a big role as well. So Karula should reach 15, 18, 20 years old. Still in good shape. Let's see if Liam is seeing something, maybe a tail tip, maybe a stump. You can see even now we're going to get back out of this. Out of here anyway, so let's just go through this. Don't worry, I'll stop in time. Oh, okay, guys, we're just gonna squeeze through here. You guys are right there. Hey, move my gloves here. One on the left is soft, the one on the right's got thorns, so be wary. Guys, but while we're trying to do this, Hayden's got something going on as well. He's going to chat to you a little bit, and if we find it, we'll get you back here instantly. Otherwise, we'll see what, how much time. We've got a little bit of time left on the drive, so we'll see what it brings. You never know what's next.
How exciting is that, folks? Karula, my goodness me. It's just an incredible thing. We're just driving up to a lovely little spot here where Bryan and I love just to sit for a bit and just see if we can see anything. It's called Impala Plains. But just to recap from what he's still looking for Karula. But just what an incredible thing. What an incredible thing. We were talking about her last night, we were talking about her yesterday, and the team was saying she hasn't been seen for ages, and all the guys were everyone was talking, she's an elusive thing, she's just hard to see and everything, and sure enough, I have to take my hat off. You know what? Brent James, and two really spectacular trackers that are with us as well, helping us this week, called Bryan and Jeandré. They are exceptional, absolutely exceptional. I've always said it about Brent and Scotty and Steph. I used to call them the Bloodhound Gang, because if there's a cat there to be found, they will find it. So I just wanted to say, without those guys, you know, it's just such an integral part of the team when you've got people out tracking. And I don't know many people they get a sniff of leopard, but don't come up with the goods. Those guys are incredible. Really, really impressive stuff. I love it. So just have a little scan here. So I won't. I always like to look up in this tree. We've had many a kill dragged up in this tree, and I can hear hyena off in the distance. Over. So I'm just going to start to just kind of lower my voice a little bit, but you might be able to hear that whoop in the distance. Hyena. You probably didn't hear her or that particular hyena. I don't know if it was a her, but you probably didn't hear them, but they're just off in the distance. What we might do, folks, if it's okay with you, is just drive around this road here and see how we go. We might drive towards them, see how we go, while Pete's repositioning and trying to find Karula. What a fantastic afternoon. Started off a bit quiet on my side, and then you just hear things like Karula being found. We had those buffalo, had some beautiful giraffe, and Pete had all those sort of things down at the waterhole. Oh, it's an incredible team of people here, guys. It's great to be a part of, and I tell you what, I have to say it sincerely, I say it every drive, but you guys with us are probably the most important, I would say the most important participants in this team. You are with us every second and every minute. Every mistake, everything that you see, every little bit of reality that you see with us. And it was exactly the same if you are on the vehicle. We are on the vehicle. What am I talking about? You are on the vehicle. Just going to turn my lights off to get this little guy out of the way. Otherwise he'll keep running up the road. Little scrub. Yeah. I think he's gone. One of the most fantastic things about this is and I said it before, the interaction with you. I find that the most integral part of Safari Live. I find that us being able to talk to you, us being able to acknowledge things that you've taught us, things that you teach us all the time, things that you look up online for us when we're struggling to remember something, or if it's an individual cat that I haven't seen for a while. Many of you have got data that you can actually share with us, and I love that. We just got a message from Astralina. I hope I got your name correct, Astralina. I've got a little bit of a bad signal at the moment. But Astralina has quite a wonderful name, Astralina. I have to say, it's beautiful. It's just told us that that big bank of cloud that we saw that was heading through Mpumalanga it could be hitting us in 3 hours. Now, that sort of information I cannot gather or collect on this vehicle, and you have just shared a meteorological piece of information with us. Now, I'm going to tell you something. Just as we've driven up here, and I love to give you that sensory upload or that sensory sort of report. Bryan, I can smell it. Can you smell that rain? I can really smell moisture in the air. Just here, as we're coming up over this hill, I can smell that sort of beautiful odour in the air. And that's something about when the night falls. The afternoon shadows start to lengthen, and the whole habitat changes. You can start to feel and see animals change their behaviour as the night falls, but also the smells. The smells and your olfactory senses really do heighten. Your sense of smell and your sense of hearing heightens, and you really feel it early morning when it's difficult to see, and late at night. Love it, love it, love it, love it. Astrolina, thank you so much. Lovely herd of impala just up here. Might just take a little bit of light off those guys. Just let them pass, actually, because I'm just turning the lights off, folks, because they will get stunned by these lights, and I just want them to pass through. So I'm going to just drive up and let them cross the road without inhibiting their path or their ability to do it properly. I did that is because you know, light, if it's used properly, can be a really great friend of ours in these situations, but at the same time we have to be very careful that we don't put the animal in a vulnerable position, and if they stop and they can't see anything, sometimes a predator can utilize that situation. So that's why I just buttoned the lights off and let them pass through a little bit. Oh, I tell you, folks, coming here is like, it's like, I don't know, it's just like you've had some eureka moment. You get this beautiful sense of being alive. It's just, I'm sorry I'm banging on about it, but this is just an amazing place. It's such an incredible thing to be part of, and to see all these animals today. Yo, happy days, Safari Live. Question I've got to stop for here. This is quite a serious situation. I've got I have to get a very important and very quick message to Isabella. Now, Isabella's aged 4, and Isabella, you're watching right now, and this is one of the most magical things for me, to be able to share with you the answers to your question live from Africa. Isabella, this is the most brilliant thing, and what an amazing question as well. You have enjoyed our giraffe sightings today, and that makes my heart sing, because giraffes are one of my favourite animals, Isabella. Isabella wants to know if giraffes, being so tall, they get hit in the head by birds or aeroplanes? Now, Isabella, it's a very, very important question, and one of the things I have to share with you is the height of those giraffes. They're probably not going to get hit by an aeroplane. Thank goodness for that, hey? I think probably air traffic control have told those aeroplanes to fly quite high so they don't hit giraffes. But birds, there may be a little bird that has potentially smacked the giraffe and hasn't been watching where it's been flying, looked around at one of its mates as it's been flying and gone, bang, what was that? And his mate said, that was a giraffe's head, you silly bird. So it may happen. I've never seen it, Isabella, but I have to tell you, it's a great question. One of the things I have seen them hit their head on many a time is another giraffe. Now, what they will do is the boys, it's always the boys, having a little bit of a knock around and a bit of a fight, and what they do is they knock their heads and necks together, and they actually do that to sort of see who's the most strong, and so you can win the girls. Yeah, see that a lot. But Isabella, you have absolutely, positively, without a doubt, asked the most brilliant question of the day, and you have made my day. Make sure you watch again, my friend, and I hope you keep watching. And you know what? We've got something in common, buddy. Giraffes are our favourite animal. Top question. Wow, what a great question. My lights off then, folks, for the simple reason there's another animal on the road, little scrub hare, a little rabbit actually, and they will get very disorientated from the light. It does cast a shadow and they'll end up running up and down the road, and it does give them a very, very bad sense of their surroundings, so we turn our lights off, get them off the road. Did it with the impala back there as well. Just a nice sort of respectful way to go through. If we do see something, of course, we'll use our spotlight and just use that very sparingly. But it's such a beautiful evening, Bryan, eh? The temperature is magic. Temperatures dropped from about 41 degrees Celsius, which I know is, I think it's around 100 Fahrenheit, which is pretty hot, and it's dropped down to about 31, 32 degrees, which I think is about 90 Fahrenheit. So a definite reduction in that heat, because it was blistering before. 41 degrees Celsius. In Fahrenheit, guys, I'm pretty sure that's over. I'm having a guess, and I used to be able to work that out, but as I said, as you get older, I forget the formulas. Maybe someone... It's about 100 and... Okay, so 106-ish, 106-ish, Bryan, I think. Fantastic. Oh, Isabella, that was a great question. Oh, so lovely. So, folks, I'm just travelling back down this road. Pieter is down that way, and he has been hot on Karula's trail. But I'm not sure. Well, I think we should cross back to him and see what he's up to anyway. I'm not sure if he's found her or if he hasn't, but let's go and see what he's up to, and we'll be seeing you just now.
welcome back this side. We've just come over the sort of higher point from Quarantine side, and it's getting cooler as we're driving down towards Gowrie Dam. It's just such a nice feeling, the cool air after a very hot day. And also a hot day on the wildlife front. We've had an incredible drive so far, great wildlife earlier, general game. HD's had lots of giraffe and buffalo. And then of course, the highlight for the drive tonight so far, Karula, found by the guys tracking. And just very exciting. If you maybe missed that earlier, we might find her again. I'm hoping we might. She went into incredibly thick stuff. We managed to get out. See if she maybe pops out here down towards Gowrie Dam or down towards Gowrie. So we're going to look around a bit. Keep in mind also the tracks of Mvula, that big male leopard, was also in the area this morning, a little bit north of here, but he might also be around. So lots to look for and lots to look forward for, or look forward to for the rest of the drive. We have about 25 minutes left. So a lot can still happen. It's been a fantastic drive so far. Jack's class again, and twitch her tail. Leopard's tails, look at cats, for those of you that have cats at home, normal house cats, their tails can really be a good indication of their mood or their excitement levels especially. So with leopards, if they're busy hunting or they suddenly spot something that they might hunt, or danger or something they might want to play with, that tail is twitching. So the tail really is a sign that something's going on. And then of course also, Andrea, for leopards when they've got little ones, when they're walking through the bush, that tail tip is a nice visual indication of where mother is when they have to follow her. That white on the tail really stands out in day or in night time. In fact, you get that white under the tail with many animals, some of them that you find in Illinois. If you think of what's your most common deer in North America, it's called a white-tailed deer. So that white on the tail is actually quite common with many antelopes as well. Many animals, either to show other animals in their same group that maybe there's danger or there's something going on, and then of course also for young ones so they can follow the big ones. And the same with leopard. Joy, coming back to some of the history, if you want, or the family tree of these leopards. Safari, as we mentioned, the mother of Karula. Joy just asking how she passed away. Joy, I'm actually the worst person in the world to ask like sort of history things about. I'm very much a sort of in the now kind of person. So I remember things if I saw them or if I experienced them. I remember Safari. I'd moved back to Namibia again, but I remember she was very old, and I know she was down towards Aratuza, which is somewhere that they drive now. WildEarth couldn't drive this. So as far as I know, we never saw. And again, this is where the community of WildEarth really can come in. Even Tara was letting us know that in Final Control, they don't know the exact facts either. So those of you that know the history well, if anyone has that information, but Joy, you could essentially say from old age. Safari was exceptionally old for a leopard already. She was an exceptional leopard. She was one of my favorite leopards. Actually, all my favorite leopards are part of the same family tree. Safari, Karula, Kunyuma, Misho, Induna, Tandi, Shadow. So the exact how, I don't know. But essentially from old age and just eventually getting, worn down, teeth worn down, and old injuries and just losing condition, and then eventually it's a hyena or a lion or something like that that gets hold of them when they're too weak to escape or run away quick enough. Just a little slip up that happens. A good way to go really for a wild animal. Live a ripe old age, many adventures, great offspring. I mean, she left behind other leopard as well, but for Safari certainly, sorry, something is bit here in the ear. For Safari, she left alone. Just the legacy of Karula alone is amazing, and all the subsequent offspring from that. So she's fathered, or she's mothered, sorry, not fathered, but she's has a whole lineage of leopards that she's left behind, and what greater legacy to leave than the next generation. That's something I've certainly learned the last 4 or 5 years since Leisha and I had our children. Sydney, who's an amazing little girl, Isabel, you were asking earlier some cool questions about giraffe. As I said, my daughter's the same age as you, and my little son Ragnar, he's 1 year old now, and there really is the immortality exists in our offspring, in procreating, in furthering our species, and that certainly is something that Safari did, and Karula has done and will be doing again. Julia, I'd love to say yes. I would love nothing more than to say, well, I would love to see Karula again right now, more than to say that, but I can't honestly tell you that I saw suckle marks, but I also can't honestly tell you that I didn't see suckle marks, so I'll leave it at that. I don't want to say something that I'm not sure about, but I also didn't see it to the point where I can say, no, there's no suckle marks. It certainly is possible. I never saw her rolling over or really on her side. She's got nice furry bits at the bottom of her belly, so it could be tucked in there, especially if it's still a very small cub, which is likely if it is. We're talking about a couple of weeks old. So I would certainly say that it's possible, even likely. But unfortunately, I can't confirm it. That we will have to leave for the next drive. Hello Vanessa, I'm just going to get through this dip. Sometimes signal's a little bit bad here. Gender tracks. Well, if we're going to bump into Karula, it will be somewhere in this next little bit. If she crosses that whole thick area, she'll pop out somewhere. Vanessa, just asking if I can introduce myself again. With great pleasure. Firstly, welcome on the drive, Vanessa. I presume you haven't done many of the drives with us before. My name is Pieter Pretorius. I am from Namibia. That's where I was born and grew up. But I'm actually in many ways from Djuma. I lived here for a long time. Actually, the single place in the world that I spend the most time at in my life in one place has been Djuma. So this is very much a home away from home for me. Namibia, of course, the next country along the west coast of Africa, north of South Africa. Beautiful place as well, guys. Absolutely amazing country. And I'm just the guy that's lucky enough and happy enough to be able to do this. Take a great bunch of people around on safari and show and tell you things and share things and learn things from you. But I'm not going to go into the details too much now, Vanessa, but WildEarth also has got a very special place in my heart. What we're doing here for me is hugely exciting, other than just seeing leopard, but the whole concept of what we're doing here socially and interactively is something I am extremely passionate about. Hina. Perhaps even the same spotted hyena that VM spotted earlier. And there's a bush baby. No, it's a... I was going to say the bush baby, but then he was flying. It was a nightjar at the back. So Vanessa, welcome on the drive. For all of you that haven't been on drives with us before, or maybe this is your first one, we are live right at this moment in Africa. Sabi Sands, Djuma Game Reserve, Aratuza Game Reserves, part of the Greater Kruger National Park in South Africa. So one of the wildlife utopias in the world. And this is happening right now. You can chat to us as well using Twitter or email, #SafariLive, ask questions. And I must just say again, just referring back to Jackie's class and Illinois and Isabel, all of us are so excited to know that young people are on the drives as well. I had a very special moment this morning, Vanessa, and maybe this sort of tells you a little bit of the story of WildEarth and myself as well, but Lisa has been with us, like many of the people sitting at this moment on the car with us, from the early days, back in 2007 when we did the first live drives like this with WildEarth here. And Lisa's daughter was 8 or 9 years old back then, and she mailed us earlier today and said hello, saying her daughter's now studying biology at college, largely or in many parts influenced by the experiences she shared with us over the years. So that little story really encapsulates so many other stories like this. So, as I always say, such a privilege and such a pleasure for me to be part of this and do this. I mean, wow, how awesome. Let's see what else we can find. We've got a bit of time left. I'm quite tempted to take the same road back again. I think that's what I'll do. I was going to say it's difficult, but it's more likely, you know, closer to impossible to predict exactly what a leopard's going to do. Of course, with time and experience, you get a feeling for it. So I'm hoping she pops out here somewhere. Hello, Trisha, from Canada. Yeah, that's one of the stories with this Pacific leopard that we saw earlier, Karula. Trisha was just asking if it's true that a leopard stole my laundry off the washing line. Well, I wouldn't go as far as saying she stole it, but she certainly played with our laundry. This is back at the old WildEarth camp, partially abandoned now. And Karula, when she was scent marking, actually when she was in mating season, she used to come and scent mark all the time on our laundry. I actually got some sort of blurry pictures of it late at night, but we saw a number of times in camp rubbing up against the clothes, most likely because of the soft texture, but also the ammonia from the washing powder probably was a very attractive smell to her. But yes, that's one of the many stories. I can tell you stories about Karula, personal experiences that are just incredible. So super stoked to have seen her again and to share it with you guys. Obviously wouldn't be the same without you. Exciting to drive like this. I mean, obviously there's a heightened sense of anticipation at the moment because we know what could be around, but the chance of finding a leopard around this next bend is always as real as it is now. It's always possible, and that's one of the brilliant things that ever can be around the next corner. We say that all the time, you know, let's go look around and see what's around the next corner, and it really is true. That's why I've loved this. I mean, I could do this every day for the rest of my life. Hint, hint. I have done this for a large part of my life, so it's still fresh and fun for me every time. And again, not to be all sort of cheesy about it, but guys, you must realize that this experience, this is why this is such a great experience for me, doing this in this format, in this social, interactive way, is that one of the things that really got to me over the years, and I was guiding at Juma and Pilanesberg and other places, was you see all these incredible things. You know, you see these amazing night skies and sunrises and leopards and lions roaring and elephant herds rushing down to the water in a cloud of dust. You know, just all these spectacular, evocative experiences that you have with wildlife and with nature, really, you know, with a bigger picture of it. And eventually what gets to you is that you don't get to share with that many people. You have a few guests in the car, maybe 3 or 4 or 5 guests, and fair enough, many of those are really awesome people, some of them not so great, but generally they're awesome people, and you share it with them, but it's a day or 2 or 3 or 4 days, and you eventually start missing the ability to share it with close friends and family, and you know, later on your wife and your children or your parents. And that's one of the things that got to me eventually guiding. And when this came up, you know, what an amazing opportunity to share this with many, many of you who really are friends. Some of you know me very well. You've spent hundreds, if not thousands of hours with me on drive. And then also just knowing that at this moment, I don't know if they are right now, but Leishan and my kids or friends of mine, a family of mine could be sitting in the vehicle as well. There's so many people that know this. And that, guys, is super exciting. Now, when you start talking amongst each other in the chat rooms, and many of you I know meet up, you know, to catch up for a coffee if you live in the same areas, you know, having shared the same moments, having shared the same experiences, talk about the buffalo kill we saw, or about that time when we saw Karula's cubs for the first time, or when Mission and Duna were going up the tree after the squirrel and were falling down. You know, shared experiences, especially shared beautiful experiences, really bonds us together. So coming back again to why I absolutely adore doing this, love doing this, And the point I'm getting to, without being too cheesy, as I said at the beginning of this little ramble, is that without you guys being part of this, whether it's maybe your first drive or your 1000th or 2000th drive, without that aspect, this just wouldn't be what it is. And as always, thank you so much for making it possible for all of us and for yourself. Yeah, that certainly was a great one. Ellen was referring back to one of the last drives we did together as a couple, Alicia, who was back then still my girlfriend, now my wife and mother of our kids as well. We had that insane experience with Karula and the two boys, Michel and Duna, beautiful cats. Michel meaning sunrise or dawn, and then Duna meaning chief. And yeah, they were all around us. They lay down behind the car, so close that you couldn't see them on the camera because they were too close. Yeah, no, we had some amazing memories shared. Got some great stills images of that as well. Chasing around Impala, and I've got a lot of memories stored in the Juma hemisphere. We're going to take a little drive up towards Gowrie, which is that area that Buna's tracks were this morning. Maybe we bump into him at the end of the drive. We've got about 10 minutes left. Who knows what else can happen. Yeah, great to drive down memory lane. As I said just now, we're just going to take a little drive up towards Gowrie Katla and see if maybe we bump into Mvula or Karula. Would be great. But I think she's in that thick drainage line stuff there. Maybe looking for a cub, who knows. But HD is also out there. Maybe he bumps into something. It's a great moment to share, finding something. I love that. That's the one thing I miss from having just one vehicle out there. But enjoy the ride with HD. We'll say goodbye just before the end of drive.
We've got there's some interesting sounds going on, that's for sure. I just want to turn the vehicle off just to hear what's going on, but there's a breeding herd of elephant just here, or there's a mother and calf anyway, just behind this bush here. At night, you just got to have your sense of your sort of spatial awareness on, because us being diurnal primates, you know, our sense of sight is there she is with a calf. Just in my view there you can see Bryan, just to show everyone. Not shining in there, they've got their backs to us, little calf right beside her. But in this situation, you don't want to drive up and split a herd off. I don't know if there's any individuals over here, so we're just going to go over nice and gingerly. Just having a look up here to see if there's any other individuals. As I said, the sense of sight has been lowered, so therefore you have a great chance of startling animals. You just want to, they can normally hear you coming, but at the same time we need to know what's going on around us. We need to be responsible and not make anyone feel uncomfortable. Very, very important. She might be the last individual, or she might be the first, but she's got a very young calf there. Now, I don't want to put the lights on him too much, but let me just button off a little bit just see, I'm just going to, he's got his tail to us, so I'm not shining the light in their eyes. See that tiny little guy there next to Mama. Now I'm just going to take the light off, guys. I do apologise, Brian. I just thought I heard a. So I make sure there's no individuals walking through here, and we upset the apple cart. Lovely. Hyena in the background over back towards the west of us. There we go. Sorry about that. Just thought that they were going to put their heads up and. Little guy, look at that. Just sitting here nice and quiet, folks. I don't want to put that light too far into their eyes if they turn to us, so that's why I'm dropping the light away a little bit. So I'll just keep it on their rump so you can just see them in that spot. And it's a beautiful female with that calf at foot, and there's probably other individuals down further, and she might be at the tail end of this breeding herd. I haven't seen any come across the road here at all. Little guy, so beautiful. I'm not going to get any closer just to make them feel uncomfortable. She's browsing nicely there and into the cool of the night. She's probably quite enjoying this drop of temperature, as we all are. And there she goes. She's just moving into some vegetation there. We can still see her. But folks, I just wanted to do a little close from my side before I hand back over to Pieter, and tell you that the feelings that have washed over me today and the emotion of being back here in this magnificent place and working on this incredible project is a little bit hard to put into words, even for me. It's hard to explain what this does for you. And I know that through our connection that we have, you and me and you and all the other presenters, it's something very, very special. It's something very special that connects us with Africa. And I can't really explain it. I can't explain why we spend so much time coming into the bush to be with these creatures. It's just a sense, an overwhelming sense of wonderment and amazement that they allow us to come into their environment, their habitat, and they trust us. They trust us to be around them. It's quite special. And for me to be back here and a guy that came from a big island down in the southern hemisphere, you know, east of here, and born there, still love Australia to bits, but this place is absolutely astonishing. And hopefully, I'm sure you feel it. I'm sure you feel it, because we know that we connect. We talk to each other, and let's say goodbye to these two crossing the road in front of us. And I'm going to say goodbye to you, and thank you very, very much for being with us. And tomorrow morning, there'll be a little surprise, I think, with maybe Mr. Jeandré in my seat, I think, hopefully. Yeah, great to have James back on, and just thanks to all the guys today. Absolutely sensational effort from everyone, from all the people that have been involved today. Thank you so much. It's been great. Let's cross over to Pete, and I'll see you hopefully sometime tomorrow. Cheers.
Oh, welcome back from HT's side. Beautiful little owl here. Not the smallest, but certainly one of the smaller owls. Used to be just called a white-faced owl. That's still what I know it as, but I believe it's these guys. It was then called the white-faced scops owl for a while, and I think it's now called the white-faced owlet or white-faced scops owlet. They change the names every now and again. But stunning bird. I'm going to try and get a little bit closer now that we've had a good view already. It is really one of the most beautiful owls. It's got those lovely facial discs and then these deep sort of amber orange eyes and the sort of sunset sky eyes. Catch mainly insects, small rodents as well, but insects is a large part of their diet. Got those lovely ear tufts as well. Beautiful. Just look at all the markings, and that's the beautiful thing with birds, is the tiny little details, the markings around the face, little stripes on the chest. Big talons, they proper hunters, proper predators. Oh, that's a lovely view. Look at that eye. Wow. And from that special view, speaking of hunters and predators, we had a very special drive, and I would just like to say thank you very much again for being part of it. And well, I don't need to say that much. Seeing Karula was amazing as always. Thanks for being with WildEarth here in Africa. Look forward to having with us as a guest again tomorrow. Lots of excitement to come. Cheers everyone. Oh, and it flies off. Perfect timing. Bye bye.